ये Azure Pricing Calculator क्या है? बहुत ही मुश्किल है. इतने सारे options. It's very difficult. So Azure Pricing Calculator is a tool which you can use for calculating prices for Azure resources. That's what we'll talk about in this video. Let's continue. So we'll go to Google and just search for Azure Pricing Calculator. It's a tool provided by Microsoft to calculate all the pricing estimates for infrastructure services that they provide. It's a very detailed tool. It's not going to be possible to look at every service, but like we talked in the previous video, we'll take a sample app and we'll try to size it up. So let's click on pricing calculator, and you are greeted with a pricing calculator screen, and let's just give it a second. So let me now try and do the navigation. So the way this works is there's products, there's example scenarios, there's saved estimates, and then there's FAQs. Example scenarios are pre-built out infrastructure designs that Azure recommends, and you can just click and add to estimate, and it will give you. So maybe what we can do is we'll take out a simple advanced analytics on big data. So this requires these products: Synapse, analysis services, embedded Power BI, and storage account. But this doesn't give me compute, so maybe I'll just build my own. So let's take that example which we talked, right? Let's take load balancers first. We talked in the previous video about a simple mobile application which is getting its traffic from a simple MVC architecture. There's a 3-tier architecture. There's a load balancer, there's database server, and then there's an application server. So we'll add a load balancer. We'll add a virtual machine. Azure, please go faster. We will add a virtual machine added, storage account added. Great. And now we will add a database called Postgres. So we have added a database, we have added a virtual machine, we have added a storage account, and maybe I'll also take in an app service to just showcase and demonstrate a parallel capability in Azure. So let's go and look one by one. So load balancers are really straightforward, right? Basic load balancer is free, great. This region, let's keep it at that. There's tiers, basic, and that's pretty much it. So you can change it to standard, and then you will have some basic customization, how many rules you can add for load balancer, which is basically NAT, and then how much data is processed. If you are crossing more than 1000 GB, there'll be a per GB traffic. This is usually the data processing charges, and they are so for example, for different tiers they are different. For basic you don't get any customization, for it's basically free, but for standard you can add a certain number of load balancer rules, and data processing charges are applied. All right, so load balancers are really simple. Storage accounts are interesting. Storage accounts have a couple of options. So there is blob, there's files, there's tables, there's pure disk, there's data lake storage gen 2, and then when you take that you get some options, right? So we'll take data lake gen 2, or let's just take blob. Blob storage is used for storing images and stuff like that. Performance tier, standard, premium. I'm going to stick to standard. For production grade, premium is highly recommended, but you don't get the hot and cold functionality in premium. You can select the purpose. Usually general purpose v2 is kept. Hierarchical namespace is kept. You can have a flat namespace, but usually hierarchical namespace will give you more like a folder structure. Access tier, hot, cool, archive. As the name implies, hot is for using it real time. Cool is probably having a lower priority inside Azure. I'm not too sure. Archive is pure archive. Redundancy options are there in standard, but I don't think they are in premium. They are in premium, but you only get 2 options. In standard you have LRS, which is local redundancy. I think that's what it stands for. We can go to this page and see what it is. LRS, ZRS, these are redundancy zones. There used to be a table Okay, no table anymore, it seems. Yeah, it's there. So LRS, ZRS, GRS and GZRS. So LRS is locally redundant storage, fair code. ZRS is zone, GRS is geo, and GZRS should be geographical zone redundancy and something like that. You can select the capacity here. You can have it pay as you go, which is well pay as you go, or you can reserve it, and use reserved instances are much cheaper. The longer you reserve it for, the better price discounts you get. It's basically that Microsoft will allocate it to you that much storage for that, and you'll be either charged upfront or you can pay monthly. So that's storage account. Virtual machines, this is where the fun lies, right? This is the heart of it. So you select the region, operating system, operating system type, whether it's a Linux or Windows. You can go for Linux, and it will give you a lot of different options to choose from. Again, tier, standard, basic, and this is where you select the right VM, and you should definitely read this article where it says VM selector. There is some kind of let's see when it pops up. So what this basically is there's different tiers in Azure, like A series, B series, E series, D series, and inside each you have 1, 2, 3, 4, and the order of the numbers pretty much imply the number of core and CPU in an increasing order. So the higher you go, the higher is the core and CPU. So here there is a VM selector, so you can select different workloads, and let's go for general purpose, and let's go for how many vCPUs you should have. So let's say 4, and you have to be aware of the vCPUs maximum, minimum and maximum. So minimum and maximum, we can go for 6, maximum 6, and you see it's changing over the selections that we have. Okay, let me move my image. Yeah, it shows the number of eligible VM. How much RAM should your VM have? Let's say 8, and maximum is 8, so you have 5, and then it will give you an option to select hard disk or SSD. I want premium SSD, so I typically have 4, and then you can keep going next, and it will fundamentally give you some kind of the tier. So it recommends you this processor D4 PLS V5. You can either add to your pricing calculator, add to calculator from here, or you can go back and select here. I'm just gonna randomly pick one. Select the number of hours, days or months. You can select the unit, so I'm just gonna go by 31 days, and you can increase the same configuration as many as you want. So that's servers. There's 1 year saving, 3 year is not. So there's no reserved plan for this region. I don't know why. Maybe I'll go for different tier and see. Yeah, you get reserved saving plan discount. So for 1 year saving, you get a 13% discount. For 2 years, you get 32, and if you reserve an instance, basically you get a large amount of discount, like 43 to 60% discount, which is very cheap. If you are an enterprise customer and you can forecast that long, this gives you the ability to basically save a lot of cost upfront. So that's virtual machines for you. Databases are very straightforward. It's basically selecting what compute you want, as I was saying. So you have option, you have a limited number of options. You can go memory optimized or basic or general optimized, which is to say that the server behind the scenes might have that tier availability. You can have a flexible or a single one. So you can select 2 vCore, 4 vCore. You don't have an option to select the amount of memory given. I think you configure that here. If it is general purpose, it gives you a different pricing. If it is memory optimized, you get a slightly higher pricing. If you see this, the number of core remain the same. So let's see, 2362 per hour for memory, and it's 1.72 per hour for general purpose. Basic is further even cheaper. So I think that's an interesting, and basic actually only has two options. So this basically influences the memory configuration behind the scenes for the servers. So that's what this influences. You can go and select the number of servers you want and the hour you require. App service is a very interesting capability. It brings in a container like setup and kind of can be used as a drop-in replacement for your VMs, and your life would be much easier. So it's a PaaS offering. It has a lot of capabilities out of the box, like you can add Microsoft authentication on top and things like that. Comes in both the flavors, Windows, Linux, and you have tons of different tiers. So let's say premium, V3, and then you have some options. Note that these are not the same options as you have with your virtual machines. Virtual machines are raw infrastructure. These are PaaS services, so they come in a certain degree of configuration. For example, if you're looking for more than 32 cores, I'm pretty sure you have virtual machines that have that. You see 80 GB RAM, 20 V. Okay, let's go for our higher cores. 48 V CPU. So that's there. I do remember the series that have 128 cores even. These are the high compute cores. I think it's F series. Yes, you see there's a D96, which is 96 core CPU, which is crazy. Another D96 D series. I'll have to scroll a lot, I think. Let's say F. Yeah, you see F series has this. So F72. So there's a lot of instances that you have which are higher core, but what I'm trying to show is that you have a limitation of, even with premium, let's see, with isolated, you don't have that option. I think premium V3 is the topmost. You can go 32 cores. So these are PaaS services. These are great if you don't want to get into the hassle of managing infrastructure, the networking associated with it, and manage the deployments out of the box. These even give you some deployment slots and all that. Quite nice if you don't want to deal with infrastructure services at all. So yeah, that's the pricing calculator. Let's go back and see what else do we have. And in general, if you see this tons of things that you can estimate, right? There's compute, networking, storage, web and mobile are services focused on web and mobile. There's containers, databases, analytics, and then there's a whole bunch of AI, ML, IoT integration, identity management, dev tools, DevOps, media management, hybrid services, IoT services, and things like that. You can size any of them and all of them, and you can build your estimate using this calculator. And it's quite a nice service which can quickly give you the size and a snapshot of your infrastructure. So that's what we wanted to talk about. That's what I wanted to talk about in this video, Azure Pricing Calculator. Hope you had learned something new, and hope you had understood how to use a pricing calculator. Each cloud provider has their own pricing calculator. I'll quickly show that. AWS pricing calculator. I hope it comes up quickly. Yeah, create estimate. You see, it's very similar. The design and look and feel are quite different, but I think it offers same capabilities. I personally like Azure Pricing Calculator because I find it cleaner and easier to use. No offense, AWS. And Google Pricing Calculator I haven't used that much, but I've seen their pricing calculator as well. So yeah, that's how you size your infrastructure. First build up raw estimates, and then you use a pricing calculator to build up more detailed and granular estimate. If you get into this also gives you a place to think about a lot of things. So try to walk in once in a while and see what services there are. It will also give you an idea as to what services are there and how they are priced and how they are charged, and that inherently tells you in what scenarios can you use and can you not use them. So yeah, that's all from this video. Subscribe to Cafe.io. Bye bye.